Real Talk with Grace Redman features conversations with fierce and fabulous people from Grace's community and circle who inspire others with their stories of overcoming challenges to create amazing. Grace is an entrepreneur and success coach who works with individuals to diminish their negative mental chatter, boost their confidence, achieve their goals, and increase their prosperity mindset. Get ready for a series of anything goes conversations with remarkable men and women that will get you jazzed for life's unlimited possibilities of success, freedom, and fun. Welcome to Real Talk with Grace Redman.
Hey loves, it's Grace Redman. Thank you so much for joining us on Real Talk today, where I get to have real life, raw conversations with incredible people from my circles and communities. And today I'm so excited to be here with Kelly Green. So Kelly has been teaching drama and character education and has been the cheer coach at St. Charles since 1994. In 1998, she got certified to teach group fitness classes, and she has been teaching classes all across the peninsula, probably in every gym and studio that you know of. I know that for sure. And she also has a passion for teaching group fitness to those with disabilities and those who've been diagnosed with cancer. Kelly battled her own devastating eating disorder for over 10 years. And in 2016, that motivated her to receive her eating disorder intuitive therapy coaching certification. And in 2020, during the pandemic, she realized a lifelong dream, took a leap of faith, and opened her own fitness and wellness studio, KG Fitness. Girl, so excited to be here with you today.
Who was that person?
That's you.
Wow.
Yeah. So exciting.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, Gracie.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yeah.
I pretty sure we've been friends. I've known you and been taking your classes since 2005.
Yeah,
so
a long time.
16 years.
A lot of fun nights out.
Yeah, a lot of Well, you know, I'm all about fun because when we're having fun, we're feeling good. But I've also seen you kind of transform like over the last 15 years, and just witnessing your transformation has been amazing.
Thank you.
So you've come a long way.
Yeah.
What would you like? Something that I think really inspires me about you is how you've overcome overcome the eating disorder. I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, honestly, it still is hard to talk about. So anything I say here is super raw and super real. My whole life, I've always felt like the short, chubby one, through nobody but my own internal belief. And in high school, amazing high school career. I loved it, every bit of it, but that inner voice was always there. And then going away to college, the food restriction, the body hatred, just kind of took its own life of itself. Becoming certified in group fitness at that time was an addiction as opposed to a passion that it's become. Counting calories, every morsel, every movement, took a diet to a really horrible disease that I battled. So what was the question? How did I get here?
Yeah.
God, that's a whole story.
Just a little bit of, we something that inspires me about you is how far you've come, battling, or actually healing. I don't even know if you use the word battling, healing from an eating disorder. And I think that resonates for me because I started my first diet when I was 10 years old.
Yeah. Because
before I was even 10 years old, I was told I was fat and I have to lose weight. Mm-hmm. And so I started, dieting when I was 10. I was never diagnosed with any disorders, but I know I have, have had, still, have to use that. Society conditions us.
Yeah, I feel like
focus on our body.
Mm-hmm. I feel like looking back, I was blessed to be diagnosed with it. Because I was able to start my journey and help. I was able to start the disordered eating or disordered thoughts, or, technically termed word. But regardless of that, I feel like so many people battle so many inner demons, whether it's about food or body. So it's real. So looking back, the battle was real. Like my entire world flipped upside down. But now looking back, I was so blessed to get help.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we have, similar stories, and I used to feel like a victim. And now when I look back, it's like, no, like all of those things that I felt were so terrible that happened to me were only growing me. Really, I feel, to get closer to God and to my spirituality. Because that's what, at the end of the day, for me, I think what helped save me was my faith. And knowing, like, okay, there's something greater for me than this darkness.
Right. And when you're in the darkness, you don't see anything but the darkness.
Right.
And I clearly remember at about the age of 20, sitting in my little Volkswagen Bug, which is kind of funny because I have a bug again, but it wasn't funny at the time. I remember sitting in my car at around 20, in the parking lot of a gym. And feeling like there was never going to be a way out, that I was never going to be able to enjoy life or food or be around people without feeling fear of judgment. And now looking back, that darkness has brought me great light, because I've worked through it for years. And it's a daily process. We talk about it all the time.
Totally.
It's not like, done.
Yeah.
It's a daily process. And we talked about it on the walk up here, how the daily self-talk, that the stuff that you hear about in therapy, like self-talk, and you're like, oh yeah, right, sure. But when you do it day after day after day, there's something about that belief in greater power, whether it's a faith in God or a faith in some other higher being. It's there.
Absolutely.
It's there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And our mind is naturally wired to focus on the negative as a survival mechanism. And when I learned that, and you also, we talked about this, when I learned that we can rewire our mind, then I was like, okay, like I want to do this. I need to do this. And it doesn't happen overnight. But then I started taking the negative thoughts and reframing them. And then it becomes a habit, but you need to be committed and consistent with those thoughts. It's like, I don't want to call it the devil, but when that devilish thought comes up, then right away, to flip it. And that's how we can help rewire. And I know for some people, that might not work, or they may not believe in it, but it takes commitment and consistency.
For a lot of years, I didn't believe in it. I just did it because they told me to. And now I believe in it. It hasn't been like all better. No, but you talked about like the devil, and I honestly like kept journals and journals and journals, and I would talk about like the voice in this side of my head was telling me you're fat, you're ugly, you're not good enough, you're not tall enough, your legs aren't long enough, you're whatever enough. And then this side would be like, it's okay, you're a good person, you're a caring person, you love people. No, you're not. So
that battle, girl.
It's real.
Yes,
it's real.
It's real.
And then the other thing I see now that I didn't see at the time is that when you talk about it, even just as like a tip of the iceberg, people are like, oh my God, me too. And then you're like, oh shit, I'm not alone. Like I've spent all these years of my life thinking I'm terrible for thinking these terrible thoughts. So now you're not only thinking terrible thoughts, but now you're ripping on yourself because you're thinking this way.
Right.
And then you're vulnerable enough to say something to somebody, and the conversation, not always, but when it does open up, it's like, wow,
you're feeling that way too.
We're all
feeling
on
it.
a journey of whatever, and maybe it's not hatred or dysmorphia or whatever term, but it's something. And I feel like most people that I work with or talk with have that not good enough as the underlying something.
Absolutely.
Not thin enough, tall enough, rich enough, nice enough, smart enough, like
the core theme story. And so when I was going to get my certification, I think I mentioned this in one of the other podcasts, is I learned that we live 95% of our life based on unconscious beliefs that were imprinted in us from the time we were born to the time we're like 7 or 11. Okay. Then we live the rest of our life based on that. And there's always a core theme story under those, beliefs that are not even true. It's typically, I'm not good enough.
Right.
And so then we live the rest of our lives believing we're not good enough. And that, holds us back. It creates the body, dysmorphia, the food issues.
Mm-hmm. Or I also, you brought up something like, I also feel like, or felt like, when you do feel like you're good enough, then you're going to be judged for that.
Yes.
Like, I'm finally good enough to do this. Oh shit. Now they're not going to like me because they're going to be like, oh, who does she think she is?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even it. But it's like,
dimming our light.
Do I feel like I'm good enough to try this, but is everybody going to judge me? Because I'm going to take this leap and I'm going to do this, or I'm going to try that. And oh no, are they going to think I'm
totally?
And it's like, what?
Totally.
I would love to have one full day of being confident. What the hell? One day, right?
Well, then it goes back to, learning to dim. So I learned to dim my light to be accepted.
Oh,
and to dumb myself down, or to, I don't know what other words to use, because it was easier. And I felt like,
don't dim your light.
Well, no one should dim their light. No one should dim their light. Everybody has light. Yeah, but what we do, not just you or I feel like so many of the men and women I've coached kind of dumb themselves down, not to make other people uncomfortable, or to be accepted. And I've learned, and I'm still working on that, and I've learned that when we do that, we do a disservice to ourselves and the other person. Now, if you didn't show up and shine your light and create what you've created, like, you inspired me in so many ways, like that I would have missed the opportunity for you to inspire me.
Well, good. That's
right.
Good. Yeah.
That's why.
Right. Yeah.
You got to show up.
Right. Right. And then there's that fine line of feeling guilty that you're shining your light.
Tell me more about that.
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like I know what it feels like to not want your light to shine, or not be able to let your light shine. For many years, my light was not even lit, to be honest. That's touching. Got a sweaty arm on that one.
I love it.
I did. And through lots of life's up and downs, not just the eating disorder, through other challenges in my adult life, my light couldn't shine. And now that it's shining pretty brightly, I often feel guilty for that.
So tell me more about that. When you say I feel guilty, because
I know what it's like to not be able to let your light shine. I feel like some people want their light to shine, but just don't know how to do it yet. And that's hard.
Yeah.
I want to bring light. I know that sounds so like mushy, but it's true. Like,
no,
I want to be able to shed a little bit of my light to help other people feel like they can. Like, I had specific doctors and therapists through my battle, and some didn't like my light at all. And some I still remember to this day. I was at 19 years old. And I still remember this one specific doctor who like lit my light a little bit.
And when you say lit your light, what does that mean?
Gave me hope, gave me a belief that there's another side, or there's another way, that I wouldn't have to be stuck in that eating disorder for the rest of my life, which at 19, you think that's it.
Yeah, your child or children at 19.
Gosh. At the time, one of the times I was in the hospital, the show 48 Hours came, which is kind of a weird looking back. And they wanted to do an eating disorder documentary. Back at the time, before 48 Hours was like, now they're all the like murder mysteries. They used to do documentaries, and they came to the eating disorder ward, and they asked if they could interview the patients on the ward. And of course I was like, oh, hell no, like, I'm too fat. I'm not anorexic. Like, I can't be on TV looking like this, because they're going to be like, what's wrong with her? She's not sick, that mind. And I went ahead with the eating disorder interview, which I only watched about 5 years ago, to be honest.
Really?
Oh God, I couldn't watch it.
I watched it because you had it available.
I watched, that's the first time I started watching it.
Really?
Yeah. And the reason why I did the interviews was because the lady that interviewed me told me that my video might help somebody.
Yeah.
And that was the only reason. And I was able to leave the hospital for the day and went to my house, and God bless my family. Like, they were all interviewed, and it was a really big step in what I look at now as, like you said, like, never would have thought, number one, I'd be in the hospital. Number two, they would come at the time I was in the hospital, that I would be on a TV show, which is fun, not funny, but like weird, or, you know, coincidental for I don't know what word. And now just starting watching it a few years back, I use that as my, like, some education. And I look at that poor child who was me, so lost, and my parents and my family. So if I can help people in any way, whether it's something as deep as an eating disorder, or just a little messed up sense of body image, or feeling uncomfortable at working out, like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable going to a gym and I don't have people look at me and all that stuff, like, that's what's about.
Yes.
I don't care if you can do 1 push-up or 150, I don't give a shit. It's like, that's not what it's about. I mean, trust me, I like to sweat.
No, I know, but what you're saying, it's about service.
Yeah.
It's about giving back. And that's where it goes back when I talked about, I think when we dim our light, we're not only doing a disservice to ourselves, but to others. And look at when you showed up and you didn't even, you know, as a 19-year-old child, you know, in so much pain. But even at that time, when she said, this might help someone, that there was that feeling in you, like, I'm going to show up and do this.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, is like giving back. And you've given back in so many ways, not just, you know, in showing us that video and teaching us the classes, but also as a teacher, you know, with these young kids. They're so impressionable. And I went to one of your plays, and it was amazing.
It's fun.
And tell me a little bit about what motivated you to become a teacher.
Oh my gosh, I knew from the age of 7, 8 that I wanted to be a teacher. And it just lights my soul, like just teaching those kids, students. I worked with younger children, and now I'm working with more at the junior high school age. And I have an opportunity to, I hope, like, teach them some life, not just book stuff. I mean, I teach drama and character education, which is like life. You know,
that's what we need in school. I think that they really don't teach about. I know they didn't teach me about life.
I don't know.
Right. So thank you for teaching character education.
Right. Oh, I'm lucky to be.
We learned on our own. Well, of course, our parents.
Or that 10-minute movie.
Oh God.
They put on the screen and then gave you a maxi pad and said, see ya. Like, what the hell?
Thank goodness, like, we're more open now.
Please, God. So I mean, teaching was never even a doubt for me.
But how'd you know at the age of 7?
I knew. I don't know. I knew. I used to play school with my stuffed animals and all that shit. And then, you know, whether it's teaching at school or teaching cheer or teaching at the gym, that's where I think my light shines.
Absolutely.
That's what I love to do.
Oh. And
I love to see people, just like experiences on the day-to-day, like at the gym. People walk in the studio just kind of like, you know, and then they leave and they're talking to each other and they're smiling and they're cracking up, or they, you know, the quietest person in the class is in the back, like rocking out, you know, because they know a song, or the loudest person. or you and me are having our own party.
I'm the loudest person in her classes, you guys.
We love, like, push it. Yeah, exactly. But that's joy.
Yes.
That's the joy of it. And yes, the workout. Of course, you go to a gym and work out. That's great. You know, do your burpees. I love burpees. But it's that. Or it's that person that walks in that's like brand new, uncomfortable in their skin, doesn't know anybody. Like, oh, they're freaking out to even do something like that. And then they leave and they're like, that was fun. Or maybe they don't say that was fun, but you notice them at the doorway talking to somebody else. Like, that's huge. That's it.
And I battled so much depression after I had my second son, because my mom had just died. I was not in a good place, and I had battled depression. I didn't even know it was depression since I was probably a teen. And you know, the YMCA, you know, one of the places you teach, it saved my life. And that the coming to those exercise classes and having a place where my children can come, you know, play for an hour while I got my exercise. Like, I'm gonna get emotional.
Oh no.
It was a lifesaver. And it wasn't just the community. It was like, just when I got in there and moved my body and listened to the music and heard you or, you know, one of the other instructors, I had hope.
Yeah. Oh no, I just told somebody the other day, making a joke, but it wasn't a joke. Like, you know, 10 years ago, 9 years ago was another big hurdle in my life. And teaching group fitness and being in group fitness was, sorry, therapy, but was more valuable to me than therapy at the time because it was such a release.
Yes.
And it's such a part of me and my joy and your joy. And like, it's more, it's like you said, it's honestly like the first live class I taught at the studio, I literally cried. I think you might've been there. It was just an overwhelming sense of like this inner joy that you can't explain, whether it's endorphins or not. I mean, that's what they say it is, but
I'm addicted to endorphins.
And I remember bringing my kids to the YMCA when they were little, and like you said, you meet great friends. Look at, we met each other. I have great friends.
We got great memories on Rockets.
Oh, we got a couple of good Friday night memories. I think I remember
we had fun, you know.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. And I think also at the time, most of us were going through some real challenges in our life.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned, you know, depression and not really knowing what it was, but yeah, you know, battling some real mental health stuff that, again, I think sometimes people assume they know someone by looking at them. And, you know, you and I are like bright, happy, jolly people, but such a deeper well.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, to have dealt with many, many years of deep, true depression was really hard.
It was hard. And you know, I know for me, I was conditioned to just show up, you know, put on a happy face and smile and don't let anyone know how you're feeling. And so that's what I did. And the times that I did reach out and say, you know, I'm not feeling good, I was told, hey, you know what, suck it up, you'll be fine. But thank goodness, you know, because of the grace of God, the universe, at the age of 19, like I knew like something's not right. And then, you know, I went for help. But I also believe that we need to have a community. I mean, okay, therapy is great. I went to therapy for 25 years, but it was, you know, helpful. But what really helps is having a community and being able to talk to somebody.
For sure. 100%. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like sometimes you just talk the tip of the iceberg to someone or to a group of people, and you realize that, you know, you're not alone. It's okay to be vulnerable around the right people. You know, you find
safe,
out,
you know,
safe people.
It's not,
you know,
feel safe.
And then you just know, you know, those people that you can go there with. Like you and I could be busting a joke and laughing and then talk deep, real deep in the one conversation. I mean, look at our walk across the bridge. We went from like hooting and hollering and laughing and, you know, sipping champagne to real deep talk that like left us both feeling like a little healed, a little, you know.
Right. And it's a release. So also I believe like when we keep everything inside and you know, we don't take the time to talk about it, it starts coming out in physical ailments.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I know for me in those times, I was like, okay, it was a headache and a backache and it was always something. So did you ever experience kind of your emotions come out in the physical body outside of the eating disorder?
This is that's a kind of a catch-22 question because I've always had an exercise addiction, which has worked in my favor now because it's a passion more than addiction. Exercise. But even when I was battling my eating disorder, my exercise, even though it worked against me, helped me. I can't explain it.
No, I hear you.
I can't explain. I can't explain the feeling of what the fitness has done for me, like the mental release that it's.
No, and for me, I love the fitness, but what I was like saying, like when I wasn't feeling good and depressed and not releasing it or talking about it, I'd start getting physical problems.
Right.
Like a backache or headaches.
Yeah. I haven't experienced the physical stuff, but I have. Here's what I do experience is when I'm feeling in my head, the negative head, I take it out on everybody around me. Mm-hmm. My energy is different. Mm-hmm. And maybe my body feels different. I don't know. Maybe I am more tired, but luckily I haven't felt too shitty in a while.
Good for you.
I mean, you know, every day's a day.
My shit comes out my back. I'm like, I'm like, okay, my back, I got to work on something.
Yeah.
So, which brings me, you know, to the question when you talk about, you know, exercise as an addiction, but is it, I mean, I'm sure it can be an addiction. However, at the same time, I think we can have healthy addictions too. What do you think about
I feel like now it's a very healthy addiction for me. it's my passion. I get great joy in doing it for myself, but I get the same amount of joy watching the people that I'm working with. So yeah, I mean, it could go either way, right? Any addiction can.
Right. Also, for me, I think during the pandemic,
Oh yeah.
like I exercised every day, like 7 days a week, sometimes twice a day.
Yeah.
And then in that point, I was aware and conscious, like, okay, like we're going through this, change.
Yeah.
And this is the way I'm choosing to cope.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was better than me, hitting the bottle.
I'm kidding. I agree with you 100%.
But if you want to hit the bottle, I mean, that's your choice.
Have a sip every now and then. It's okay.
But,
have a sip, 2 sips.
So
yeah,
there's different ways that I really would love to find a different word than addiction for the exercise. Yeah, I know it can be addicting. Like if we're doing it 20 hours a day, okay, it's addicting. But like maybe we can find a new word. It's a healthy.
It's just for me. I mean, for me, it's a passion. For me, it's a routine. For me, it's a part of my life, just like brushing my teeth.
Yeah, me too.
So I mean, and for me also, it's like it doesn't have to like. Of course, I like the intense stuff. That's like my energy vibe. But just to see, someone who is older and new, just moving their body. But I don't know, it's just become like watching the joy in other people is that's kind of the addiction now. Because if I was by myself not teaching group fitness, I'd work out, yeah, but we go away on vacation, I'm on the treadmill for an hour, I'm like, this shit is boring. Like it's this. It's
a connection. And that's why I'll get up to be at your class at 7 a.m. because I mean I can get on my Peloton,
right? But
I like the connection.
Yeah.
And being there. Which brings me to, your edit certification and kind of what motivated you to get certified?
After years of, being in therapy, even as a mother of my own 2 grown children, over the hump of the eating disorder, but the voice still there. I don't think it goes away. It's just a constant daily work. I knew I wanted to help people, and I know that many people battle disordered eating or eating disorders or body image. And I knew that by having this certification, I'd be able to reach out and be able to be there for, even if it's a small handful of people. And I've had some clients in high school, and I'm able to teach that to my 8th graders. They don't, awesome. Now they do, but they don't know anything about my personal life, but I'm able to bring that, able to do workshops to people that feel that. I do focus more on the negative body image as opposed to a full out eating disorder, because if anyone has a full eating disorder, they definitely need medical and psychological treatment.
So it's more mindset work.
It's more mindset. It's more self-acceptance or self-tolerance or, self-neutrality. It doesn't even have to be like, oh, yay, like I love my body. That's a beautiful thing, I guess. I don't know.
What kind of I don't know, but our bodies are amazing. Our bodies are amazing.
Oh my gosh, right? Yeah. So it's I'm really happy I have the cert, and I'm really happy I'm able to touch whoever needs it. Like, I've had previous students who are now grown in their 20s who've reached out. So that's a beautiful connection to be helping someone who's now an adult who battles that body image. I've had, women in their 70s. I've had a man. Eating disorder doesn't just hit women.
It does.
Or disordered body image, I guess. So yeah, when you just talk about it, just flat out, when I feel that, it takes the secret out of it, or it takes the shame. Maybe it doesn't take it away, but it makes you be like, oh, like that.
You relate, whenever something resonates and you can relate to someone, it makes you feel, you don't feel as alone.
For sure.
And I think something that I really want to touch on when it comes to, body image is we'll see, this beautiful size 2 model, and like think, oh my gosh, you know, she's a size 2, she's so lucky. And then you find out like she has her own, you know, body image issues. So you never know who's battling it. It's not just, you know, people like us. It's, you know, even when you see someone and they seem perfect to you, but in their mind, they have a false story.
Well, it's that if I look like that person, then I would be happy. Or if I was that weight, it's the if then, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many things that I've studied about, like you said, the beautiful model that we look at and we're like, oh God, she's perfect. And then you hear her personal story of like torture of being that way.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, we assume like that girl with the long legs or the, you know, whatever we desire, they have that, they must be happy. But in reality, if they're happy, hallelujah. But in reality, everybody's got something.
For sure. And the, you know, joy, happiness comes from within us.
Yeah.
Is like, you know, and we're doing that self-acceptance workshop series.
Yeah.
But when we accept ourselves for who we are, constantly looking for acceptance outside of ourselves, we're going to be struggling, you know, forever.
Right. How about like if I hit this weight, then I'll be
God,
good.
That never
like,
happened.
Oh, wait, I hit that weight. Okay, now what? Oh shit. Like, now what? I have to stay that weight, or I want to lose 5 more pounds.
Well, it's self-sabotage.
Right? So it's like
it's self-sabotage.
Totally. And like, am I a better person when I weigh X pounds?
Right.
You know, no. And that's what is important, I think, for all of us to realize is like, you know, whether we have a little extra skin on our arms or a roll that we don't like, or like the real raw people we are, like, does that make us any less kind or any less worthy or any less, like, what does that number on the scale have to do with our worth as a friend, a mom, an aunt, a cousin, a nurse, a sister, brother, whoever we are? Like nothing
at all.
You know, that's a day-to-day reminder. Day to day.
That we're worthy no matter what, regardless of our size. And the other thing I've learned is the more we focus on what we don't like about ourselves, then it gets exasperated. And for me, where my journey started, you know, to heal that mindset around my own body dysmorphia was, okay, my body carries me every day. Like I put my body through so much, you know, just stress and working so long hours and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I never thanked my body. Like, thank you, arms, for allowing me to carry my children.
Right.
Thank you, legs, for getting me to where I need to go every day. Thank you, mind, for allowing me to, you know, run this business. Thank you, and I just beat myself up all the time.
Oh, yeah.
The diet playbook. It's not even about diet.
Yeah, I love it.
And it said, love your body because it's waking you up every morning. And so then slowly, then I started to say, okay, thank you to my heart, to my arms, to my big ass.
Thank you, big ass.
and that, you know, it didn't come overnight.
I know. It's a lifelong thing.
So, but little by little, so the more we focus on, you know, what we think is wrong with us, the more we exasperate, and then we lose our joy.
I call that the magnifying glass.
Exactly.
Right? You look in the mirror and you see yo, big ass. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding.
We said it was real and raw.
I don't mean really it like raw. You. I'm
no, I know, but whatever.
If
this is real. Like you get it, you get.
It's happening. It's showtime. No, but like,
where's the cocktail?
Yeah, it's time for a beverage. But that's what the truth is. Like, for how many years did I look in a full-length mirror and just see my big ass or my stocky legs, or like, I didn't notice anything else. I didn't notice that, you know, my hair needed dyeing. No, I know, but I didn't notice anything. I didn't notice like, oh, my makeup looks good today, or oh, this shirt's great color. Like, you just go boom, and that's it. And then you know what you do? You take that outside into the world with you. So then you walk around, you're like, oh my God, I was looking at my big ass,
Right. And no one fucking cares.
They're thinking about their own big ass.
Right. So whatever. How much time, you know, gets lost.
You told me that. You told me that a few months ago. You said, when you spend all that time obsessing about whatever it is. It wasn't a body image issue that time, but it was something else that was like taking a lot of my brain power. You're like, think of all the time you're not spending on your studio, or you're not spending on your granddaughter. Oh, I got the cutest granddaughter.
I know. She's so
you know, so it is that self-talk. It's that constant reminder. It's that rewiring, reframing, redirecting. That voice, this voice, I mean, I don't know if it's always going to be there. Maybe there'll be a day or two that you don't feel it, but it's there.
It's there.
It's there. And
you learn. And so speaking, you know, for myself, like I commit to this practice every day, like every day. Like I wake up, I have a morning routine, I meditate, I journal, I do affirmations. And what I've noticed, that voice comes up, of course, I'm human. Yeah. And on my best days, within seconds, I flip it.
Oh yeah.
However, you know, if I haven't been consistent with my meditation, and if I'm in a bad place or I'm really tired, it takes me a little bit longer to flip it. And so, which brings us to self-care, you know, and how important that is.
For sure.
So what are some things, you know, other than the exercise, do you do to help keep yourself grounded that maybe you can share with our audience?
You said journal, and I swear my mom can attain to this. I journaled, and I've continued to journal since I was sick, or with my eating disorder. When I was 18-ish, 19 was when it really, and I have journaled and journaled. And again, those were something I didn't really read either until a few years ago. My mom saved them. Thank you, Mom. And I still journal. And I used to journal in like hard times, but now I journal no matter what.
I do too.
And I'm like, sometimes I use those little workbooks, like, you know, where they ask you a question and you're kind of forced to think. So I journal a lot. Any self-help books you want?
Yeah, that's right. You and I read a lot. Yeah, me too.
I read. I don't read like front to back though. And like I just like open up and then that's the chapter I'm supposed to read.
I like that.
Yeah,
I can do that.
Yeah. You know, I can't read front to back. My attention's.
I got perfectionism syndrome. You know, I'm recovering.
Oh gosh, you mean you have to read page? Oh, I highlight, I dog ear. Sometimes I read when I'm working out and they're sweaty, my books. So you can borrow any book you want, but I can't promise it's going to be all put together. Self-care. I've been working on trying to go to sleep at a better hour. My husband's great with that, because I used to stay up really late thinking I can get more done, but
yeah, that's a whole nother subject.
Really,
girl.
You know, I drink a lot of water. I do. I know that sounds like super like cheesy, but I do. I drink a ton of water, like up 5 times pee a night. That's a lot of pee, but I mean, right? Yeah, I know. It's weird when I don't wake up in the middle of the night. I'm like, did I not drink enough water?
That's something I need to do more of for sure.
You know, I'm really close with my mom. I'm close with my daughter, my son, my husband. I have, you know, an amazing family.
Yeah,
I'm a simple person.
And what do you mean by simple person?
It doesn't take a lot to make me happy. Seriously, I'm like a 2 cocktails on a Friday night.
Well, here's the thing,
let my steam down. I love music.
But here's the thing, like you just said, it doesn't take much because it's already coming from within. Like you've come on this journey, you know, this healing journey.
See some darkness. Let me tell you, girl.
And you know, I don't know how to repeat this, but they say, I don't know if it was the deeper the pain or the darker the darkness, the brighter, the more joy you'll experience. You know, the brighter it will be.
You have to know the dark to see the light.
Yes.
And I've said that, and somebody told me that years ago, and it was again when I wasn't ready to hear it. So some of those things when you're not ready to hear, you're like, whatever.
Believe me, there's some
therapists telling me that again. Yeah. Like, really? But then when you do hear it and really hear it, you're like, oh, now I can really embrace this moment of pure joy. And I feel like I'm allowing myself that. And I do know what the other side feels like.
So the contrast.
For sure.
So I think the contrast for me has been really important because I know what it felt like to be in a deep depression. And then I know what it feels like to be in this joy. Like I won't be drunk or high or anything. And I'd feel this tremendous joy.
Right.
And I don't think I'd feel that tremendous joy if I didn't have the darkness, you know. So I feel like
people think I'm drunk all the time.
Yeah,
I'm not. I have like 2 drinks on a Friday night, and that's my big outing. But it is like people are like a few years ago, one of my son's friends saw me out on a Friday night. It was not under the influence at all. I really wasn't. And she saw my son the next day, and she was like, "Oh my God, I saw your mom." Like she was totally ripped, and I was like, totally ripped. I was at Target. Like, what are you talking? Like, that's just me.
The energy.
I'm
Well,
like,
we're Scorpios.
oh shit, that's a whole other podcast.
So, 2020,
Yeah.
last year,
Yeah.
it was a challenging year for many of us, and also many of us, thrived. There's so many lessons. You realized a dream and opened a fitness studio during a pandemic. So tell us about that. 'Cause
Holy
that's
smokes.
that's badass.
It's badass.
I mean, this girl's like, oh yeah, we're in a pandemic, I'm opening a studio. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Well, first of all, I've always wanted to do it. I have like thousands of Pinterest pages on like studio design. My husband, who's my very best friend, owns his own business, and we're still kind of newlyweds, 5 years in September. But I told him this dream when we first started dating like 9 years ago, that gosh, one day I'm gonna open my own gym. It's gonna be a place for everybody. No, never thinking I would take it by the balls and do it.
Yes. But you know what? Our thoughts, when we have a thought, we speak it, it goes out
For
into
sure.
the universe, and then
For sure. And throughout the years we would look at like open warehouses. Like you'd be like, oh, I saw this place here. Oh, that'd be great. But I was like, oh yeah, that's great. Because I also love my job at St. Charles. So I love what I do already, teaching fitness, like jumping from gym to gym, which I loved. But I still always was like, God, this would be so awesome. Like the dream. And then kept looking here and there, putting on the back burner, like never really thinking it would be. And then at the very beginning of the pandemic, saw a place 3 blocks away from my house that had closed, that was a fitness studio, and went home, told my husband, and he's like, let's go check it out. And immediately I kind of like shit my pants. I was like, what? Like, okay.
Is this really happening?
Because it was like the first time I was like, it wasn't like a gutted out warehouse. It wasn't like Rat City. It was like a beautiful, and we went, and it happened to be that day that was the apocalypse thing when
September 9th,
okay,
2020.
That's what it was?
Yes.
Whoa, September 9th. Okay. And went in, my son was with us. It was pitch black outside at 2:00 in the afternoon. Went in, bawled my eyes out, literally cried because I thought, what am I doing? How crazy. And then we got home, and he looked at me with that look. If you know him, you know that look. And I looked at him, I'm like, am I crazy? And he said, you'd be crazy if you didn't do it.
Oh, I love that.
And I was like, what?
I love that.
I thought he was going to be like, yeah, crazy. You're crazy. Like,
Yes.
no, stick to your, running all over the peninsula to teach classes. And, so that was it. And then the next day or the next week, it was like, okay, I'm in. And then literally got there, cried, like ran up and down the studio.
I love
by
it.
myself for a week.
Yeah.
And that's really, it's been interesting. It's been an interesting learning experience for me to do the virtual and the in-person classes, slowly starting in person, mask and all, even though the mask is
soon
not
we'll be
the
without
best,
masks.
but it's
Yeah.
okay. Seeing that joy, getting people, some new people from the neighborhood, some friends of friends of friends, building like community again. I noticed this past week, especially like people that don't know each other, like have come in from different walks of life, are now talking to each other. Like, and I'm not sparking the conversation like I did in the beginning, like to try to get people.
I met some new friends in the studio.
Right.
Yeah.
So, going to be doing workshops together in
Yeah.
there. Hopefully going to be starting a class for special needs, some infant stuff, some baby massage I'm looking into.
Oh, nice.
I ain't teaching that, but
delegate.
But delegate, yes. Adding some dance classes, yoga classes. I want it to be like a place, like it's like I say, for the whole person. So,
and that's what we are. We're a whole person. It's a holistic view.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about the body,
No.
it's about the mind and the spirit. And I
Yeah.
think it all goes together.
Yeah.
It's not just one,
Yeah.
it's all three that we have
Yeah.
to focus on.
Right. Somebody stopped by the studio this morning, and my logo has a dandelion and all the little whatever the dandelion stuff is whatever. And someone was like, oh, that's interesting, like a dandelion, like that's a really strong weed. And I was like, okay. But that's true.
But
like it's such like a representative of like me. Like I'm not a flower. Like I'm a strong weed. And then when I looked up dandelion as one of my logos, my themes, it was like been through, can withstand.
Did you know that before you picked it?
No, but yes, like I knew it was like, I knew a little bit, but then when I looked it up and I, was trying to find like a certain logo and I didn't want it to be too girly because guys can work out at KG Fitness too. I saw the dandelion. I was like, that's me, like a strong weed.
I love it. So there's the
Right?
signs and I love the metaphors.
Right. Oh,
So,
for sure.
so for me, the
Strong
dandelion,
weed.
you know what it means to me? Like when I was a little kid and I used to pick the dandelion, and I don't know if you guys,
Right.
the audience can relate to this. I would blow it, 'cause my wish, I would make a wish on the, whatever, what are they called?
Yeah, those little things.
Those things.
Whatever we
That
call. What are they
fly.
called? Does anybody know?
Fly, pelican, fly.
Those
Just kidding.
The things that probably give a bunch of people allergies, right?
But I love the, because for me, when I looked at it, I'm like, oh, dreams come true. I made a wish.
I was like, I'm a
Yeah.
strong weed girl.
Yeah,
I know,
yeah.
Rose.
Yeah,
No
but look at
daisy.
perspective, because you realized your dream and you made, a dream come true. So today, like, what has been the most gratifying aspect of opening the studio?
Oh my gosh, that's a deep question, really. Well, so far it's, I think I told you this earlier, like just knowing how to go with it and not overthinking it, keeping the positive, like you think it, you speak it, it happens. Really breathing into this is gonna work, this can work, this will work, I will make this work.
The certainty.
Instead
Believe in
of,
yourself.
yes, and that's a difficult, believing in yourself is the hardest thing to do, but I have to do that in order to make this work. I mean, there's days I walk in there and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? I have to, that's the other voice. I have to turn that off. I have to just believe that this is going to take its path and it's going to work and it will work and it can work.
Absolutely.
And there'll be people that want this.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's
Yes.
all.
It's the belief. The belief.
I believe.
Yeah. And that's when you believe with certainty, it will happen.
I was listening to a podcast too, and was it you? It might have been you, but it was like when you, oh no, it was Lynn. It was Reiki.
I love
She
her.
said to me about the gym, because I was like, what am I doing? Like I did a Reiki session with her and I honestly, first of all, I don't sit still in the day. So when I laid there, like my legs wouldn't move. And afterwards I was like, is that normal? Like I couldn't lift my legs. And she was like, she said something to the point of like, your feet were firmly planted with certainty.
Yeah.
And that's why no matter what, a pandemic, a windstorm was not going to make you change from making that decision. That's what it was. So when I decided with certainty, like, oh, hell yeah, I ain't getting any younger. I might as well do it now because, I gotta go, I gotta do it or not. And that's what it was.
Yeah.
It was when you decide something with certainty,
Yes.
nothing's going to waver you.
Nothing.
Even if, trust me, people are probably out there like, what the hell is she doing? Right? That's fine. That's fine. I know what I'm doing.
Well, that's the principle of the universe. Just to know and believe with certainty.
For sure.
And I always believed in the, in the principles of the universe, but during the pandemic, like I have no fucking doubt now. Because when everything was going crazy around me, I said, I need to get grounded in these principles. I need to know with certainty. And I'm going to practice this and see. And during a pandemic, I was able to create and thrive and manifest shit that I didn't even believe it. So regardless of what's going on around us, regardless if we're, it is, it was challenging, but regardless of the circumstances outside of us, we can still have control of our mind and our thoughts, and we can still create. And you're
for sure
excellent example of that, my friend.
Woo woo!
So,
push it real good.
Yes, girl. So tell our audience where they can find you.
Well, come to my studio, KG Fitness Studio, 158 25th Avenue in San Mateo. Come by, check it out. You might like it. You'll see the dandelion on the wall, all over the walls. I got dandelions everywhere. Yeah.
And also, Kelly and I will be hosting series of self-acceptance workshops. Keep an eye out for that. And anything else you'd like to leave our audience with?
I'm just so thankful for your gift of your friendship and the real friendship that we have. And just, like I said, the fact that we can goof around and be silly and, nutty and crazy, and then real and raw and open. And I've just been totally real and raw on this podcast.
No, we had a great time. And that's what it's about. Just being real and raw, taking off our masks. So thank you so much for joining us today on Real Talk. I really appreciate it. And until the next time, make it a great day.
care.
Hey, love, thank you so much for listening today. I am so grateful for you. I'd like to show you my appreciation by gifting you a free forgiveness self-hypnosis audio download. Part of living the fun and fabulous life is practicing forgiveness. Forgiveness can be such a long and challenging process. My intention is that this forgiveness audio will help you in practicing forgiveness, especially with yourself. Grab it by visiting daretoachieve.com/forgiveness. For more inspiring tips, make sure to connect with me on social media. Drop me a line on Facebook or Instagram at Grace Redman Dare to Achieve. Until next time, keep moving forward towards living your fabulous life.